Welcome back to Breaking the Chains, Healing from Emotional and Physical Abuse. This is Season 6, Episode 1. Donations help my podcast expand and produce more smoothly. Also, you can purchase my merchandise by clicking the link in the description below. Again, I am so grateful for each listener that has supported my podcast. It's been available for a little over a year, and I've already reached 1,010 plays across all audio platforms, and I thank you all so much for your continued support. Again, I am your host, Kelly, and this is Season 6, Episode 1. So I am going to talk, the name of this episode is called Characteristics of a Narcissistic Parent. So let's talk about it. A narcissistic parent is a parent who lives through their child, possessive of, and engages in competition with their child. The narcissistic parent wants their child to exist through his or her shadow with unrealistic expectations. During a narcissistic parenting relationship is really love for being themselves. Meaning, they're rarely loved. The child is rarely loved for being themselves during a narcissistic parenting relationship. A narcissistic parent wants their child to exist to serve his or her selfish needs. So here's the 10 characteristics of a narcissistic parent. Number 1, lives through their child. The narcissistic parent does. Most parents want their child or children to succeed. However, a narcissistic parent sets expectations for the benefit of their child. The narcissistic parent wants their child or children to fulfill his or her selfish needs and dreams. A narcissistic parent doesn't care what dreams and goals that their child has. Instead of raising their child with his or her own thoughts, emotions, and goals, nurtured and valued, their child becomes an extension of the narcissistic parent's dreams and goals while diminishing their child's dreams and goals. Number 2. The narcissistic parent will marginalize their child, meaning a narcissistic parent is threatened by their child's potential, goals, and success. The narcissistic parent will continually put their child down because it makes him or her feel superior. Examples of marginalizing their child, this is what a narcissistic parent does, is constantly nitpicking at their child, unreasonable judgment and criticisms, dismissive of their child's positive attitude and emotions, and rejects their child's successes and accomplishments. This will lower a child's confidence. 3. The narcissistic parents, they want to be superior. Meaning, narcissistic, hold on, I'm going to start that all over. Meaning, many narcissistic parents have a fake image, which means he or she acts conceited. This is why a narcissistic parent doesn't treat his or her child like a human being, because the narcissistic parent is just using their child as an object for their personal gain. The narcissistic parent acts superior to their child, which means they feel like their child is less of a person than them. This will also cause low self-esteem in their child. 4. Superficial image. Most narcissistic parents love to show everyone how special they are in front of their child or children. The narcissistic parent really enjoys bragging to others in front of their child about their trophies earned growing up, job accomplishments, new vehicles, new houses, vacations, winning competitions in school while growing up, exalting the school he or she went to growing up, vacation properties and vacation homes, and much more. A narcissistic parent loves bragging because it will boost. A narcissistic parent loves bragging because it will boost their ego for attention from others and for flattery. 5. Manipulation. Examples of narcissistic parenting manipulation. Guilt trip. The narcissistic parent will use the guilt trip. A narcissistic parent will state this to their child: "I've done everything for you and you're so ungrateful." Also, the narcissistic parent will blame their child, and this, like the narcissistic parent will say this to their child: "It's your fault I'm not happy." Also, the narcissistic parent will use the shaming technique. Another statement to their child by the narcissistic parent: "Your poor performance is a disgrace to me and our family." Negative comparison. Degrading remark to their child by the narcissistic parent: "Why can't you be as good as your brother or sister?" Unreasonable pressure by the narcissistic parent. Here's another statement he or she will make: "You will perform at your best to make me proud and our family proud." Manipulative reward and punishment by the narcissistic parent. And here's another statement that will be made by the narcissistic parent to their child: "If you don't choose the school or college that I choose for you, then I will cut off support." The narcissistic parent's common thing running through this manipulation with their child is that their love is given as a conditional reward. I'm going to restate that. The narcissistic parent's common thing running through this manipulation with their child is that their love is given as a conditional reward. Rather than showing their child unconditional love in healthy parenting, the narcissistic parent is using manipulation as a tool. Also, a narcissistic parent will withhold their love as a threat and punishment. 6. Inflexible and touchy. Most narcissistic parents are set in their ways when it comes to behaviors of their child or children. A narcissistic parent controls their child on minor details and will become angry when their child does it differently. Most narcissistic parents are easily triggered and are touchy with their feelings. The reasons why narcissistic parents are inflexible and get triggered easily with their child is because the narcissistic parent feels like their child has a lack of attention, or that their child has a lack of obedience, and the shortcomings of their child, And being around the narcissistic parent at the wrong time is when he or she is really angry, triggered, and inflexible. The tactic of the narcissistic parent's inflexibility and touchiness is the desire to control their child or children. I'm going to repeat that. The tactic of the narcissistic parent's inflexibility and touchiness is the desire to control their child or children. A narcissistic parent will get so triggered and angry when their child is no longer being pulled by their narcissistic parent strings. Also, I'm going to repeat that sentence too. A narcissistic parent will get so triggered and angry when their child is no longer being pulled by their narcissistic parent strings. Here's an example of inflexibility from a narcissistic parent to their child. You never brush your teeth the right way. However, that's totally false and a totally false statement to their child. 7. Lack of empathy. One of the most common manifestations from a narcissistic parent is the inability to be compassionate about their child's thoughts and feelings, and he or she never validates their child's emotions as being real and very important. I'm going to restate that too. Number 7 is a lack of empathy. One of the most common manifestations from a narcissistic parent is the inability to be compassionate about their child's thoughts and feelings, and he or she never validates their child's emotions as being real and very important. There is 3 types of ways that a child will use survival instincts because of their narcissistic parent not being empathetic toward their emotions. First, the child will have a survival instinct that he or she will use is to fight back and stand up for themselves. Secondly, the child will flee to create distance between themselves and their narcissistic parent. Thirdly, a child will freeze and create a fake persona, meaning he or she will act like everything is good around their narcissistic parent. 8. Dependency. The narcissistic parent will depend on their child to take care of him or her emotionally, physically, or financially, and it could be all 3. There is nothing wrong for an adult child to care for their elderly parent or parents. When you're an adult child and when your elderly parents become very terminally ill, and there is nothing wrong with an adult child caring for their parents when they get to a place where they are terminally ill. I am referring to younger years in a child's life. A child should never be their parent's counselor or therapist. However, a narcissistic parent feels that their child is their counselor because he or she will vent about everything going on in their home, in their finances, in their workplace. This is too much pressure for a child. Also, I'm going to restart that. Also, some narcissistic parents believe that their child should support them financially when their child becomes an adult. For example, a narcissistic parent will state this to their child: when you become an adult, you will have a lot of money. It's only fair to help me out financially because I took care of you financially for 18 years. This isn't a child's place to financially be obligated to a narcissistic parent. 9. Jealousy and possessiveness. The narcissistic parent wants their child to permanently dwell under their influence. When their child becomes maturing, choosing his or her goals or dreams and achieving them, their narcissistic parent will become extremely jealous of their child. Also, a narcissistic parent will be critical and very competitive of their child's accomplishments. When choosing a romantic partner, when the child is much older, their narcissistic parent becomes possessive. This means that the narcissistic parent will keep bringing up negative thoughts into their child's mind about their romantic partner. The narcissistic parent believes that nobody is good enough for their child. For example, a narcissistic parent could state this to their son: "How dare that woman take you away from me, or she only wants you for your money." Another indication that a narcissistic parent feels that nobody is good enough for their child. Neglect. A narcissistic parent will always neglect their child's thoughts, dreams, goals, and emotions. The reason being is because a narcissistic parent is only focused on their thoughts, dreams, goals, and emotions rather than raising their child. I'm going to repeat that. The reason being is because a narcissistic parent is only focused on their thoughts, dreams, goals, and emotions rather than raising their child. These characteristics of a narcissistic parent is the reason that children of narcissistic parent will live separate lives from him or her when they become an adult. They realize the emotional damage that their narcissistic parent has caused throughout their life, and they want to break free from their toxic world. So I'm going to restate that. So they realize the emotional damage that their narcissistic parent has caused throughout their life, and they want to break free from their toxic world. Also, a child will learn from their narcissistic parent a very valuable life lesson, which is not to follow their narcissistic parenting skills when he or she becomes a parent. So I'm going to repeat that too. Also, a child will learn from their narcissistic parent a very valuable life lesson, which is not to follow their narcissistic parenting skills when he or she becomes a parent. And again, this was season 6, episode 1, and the title was Characteristics of a Narcissistic Parent. And donations help my podcast expand and produce more smoothly. Also, you can purchase my merchandise by clicking the link in the description below. And again, I am so grateful for you all's continued support and listening to each episode of my podcast, for I have reached over 1,010 plays across all audio platforms, and I am very thankful for each listener and you all's continued support. Again, I am your host, Kelly, and I hope you all have a spectacular night.